Lucas, it's Mrs. Jansen, and I hope that you had a fun time this past week looking at the pictures and reading the short article about stained glass windows and watching the videos on stained glass windows. And most of all, I hope you enjoyed reading with your family the passages from Matthew and Luke. Today, we are going to be working on the next step in creating our stained glass windows. The things that you are going to need today are several sheets of just computer paper and an eraser and a pencil with an eraser. So the first thing that I want to talk about is to show you kind of the example that I briefly had last time. And then we'll talk about the process. So this project is going to be done on a special kind of paper called vellum. You can see my hand here through the paper. It is a semi-translucent paper. It almost feels a little plasticky. Way back in the old days, vellum was actually made out of animal skin, really thin hide that had been dried. We are going to be using vellum to do our drawing on so that when we hang it in the window, light will be able to pass through it as if it were like a stained glass window. So you can see this picture that has been started but hasn't been finished, and we have the big star of Bethlehem with parts of Bethlehem and the buildings in the background, and we have baby Jesus down here in the cave where he was born out in the manger. So you can see that this background has more stars, and it's been divided up as if it had the lead panes of glass, so that these would be colored in dark blues and purple. So that's where we're headed. We are working on a design that will be transferred to this vellum, and then we will add color to it and be able to hang it in a window so that it looks like one of the windows in the cathedrals. The process for making that happen, though, is that we do our drawing in pencil and use the space well on this paper. When doing the drawing, you want to make sure you fill the sheet well with lots of details that include textures and patterns that we want. Once the vellum was put over top the drawing, it is attached with tape. And then the lines we see are traced. The lines we could see from underneath. So before we can work on the vellum, we have to come up with a design, a finished design that we do on paper. But before we can even do that, we need to come up with design ideas. So that's what we are going to work on today. Today, there are two things that I want you to do. I want you to watch a video about how to draw people, and I want you to practice drawing the proportions of a person. And then I want you to work on separate sheets of paper. I want you to divide that paper. I want you to have at least 2 sheets for your practice drawings. I want you to divide your sheets into 2 sections, and I want you to sketch out the part of the story that you read that you would like to illustrate for your stained glass window. Now, this week, we're just going to work on ideas. I want you to post your ideas on Seesaw so I can give you feedback. But I'm going to take you through the sketches that I have started myself. There are so many scenes that you can do, and it's up to you which ones you want, you think would be most interesting. So I couldn't decide. And so I started sketching out a variety of parts of the story, and later on I will decide which one I want to do most. So in this one you can see I have the 3 wise men headed towards Bethlehem after they went to go see Herod, and Herod told them where to go. We've got the star that's up above, and here's the little manger, and then in the background we have Bethlehem. I also included some angels because the angels were singing glory to God in the highest, and then the shepherds saw that, so I kind of combined those all together, and we can see the wise men on camel heading to Bethlehem. So that was my first idea. My second idea was to do the Annunciation. That's when the angel Gabriel from Luke chapter 1, that's verses 26 through 38, came and told Mary that she was favored in God's eyes and was going to carry the Son of God and give birth to him. And this is a very famous event that is illustrated in many of those churches that you were looking at in the cathedrals and in those windows. The Annunciation, where Gabriel comes to tell Mary this and she says yes, is a very common scene within the church and in church history. If I choose to do this, I'm going to have to put some other things in the background to make it interesting. I included a window where you can kind of see the landscape in the background, so I'll have to think about that. I'll have to keep working on details this week if that's the one I'm going to choose. My third idea, and the one that I've done the least amount of work on so far, is from Matthew 2:13 through 14. And it's after Jesus was born, when Joseph and Mary and baby Jesus fled to Egypt, and that's why I have these pyramids in the background, until Herod passed away. God told them to leave and to go to Egypt until it was safe to come home. So again, if I would do this, I would have to add a lot more detail to this scene. But that's what I want you to do. I want you to be thinking out ideas for your project. I want you to think about what you'd like to spend time drawing. And I can't wait to see what parts of the story that you are interested in drawing. And so I want you to do at least 4 of these. These are only 3 designs so far. I will be doing one more as well. And you can post those on Seesaw and I will give you feedback. The other thing is I will assign you a link to a short video. It's about 3 minutes long, of how to figure out how big to make a body, the correct proportions. So if you have questions about that, you can let me know, but you also can watch that video over and over and draw with it. So that's what we're going to be working on this week. Sketches of ideas for your window and sketches of the basic proportions of a body. Feel free to keep reading over the gospel story if you can't decide on what scene that you might want to draw. All right, have a great week, Lucas, and we will talk to you soon.